Hey everybody, we're going to go live in a few minutes. We're just waiting on a few people to jump on. So it'll be starting in just a few minutes. Okay, go ahead and begin. Hi everybody, I'm Rachel. I'm the community manager here at PTO today, and I help run our PTO and PTA leaders and volunteers Facebook group. And let me just say, we are super excited to have Maggie from Get Movin join us today to go over Athon fundraising and how we can make the most of it. And Maggie, we're so excited to have you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm the marketing director with Get Movin Fundraising. So we are a team of a lot of us are former PTO, PTA leaders and volunteers, just like all of you. Some of us are even former teachers, so we're definitely understand where you guys are coming from in that way. We have been doing event-based fundraising, otherwise known as Athon Fundraising. So that's obviously the topic of today. But we have been doing that exclusively for 17 years. We're actually going into our 18th season this year. Super exciting. All of our coaches, so we have coaches across the United States that work with schools in different areas. So if you work with a coach, they know like what's going on in your like state and community. And they can walk you through planning basically an event-based fundraiser, which we're going to kind of dig into. What does that mean? What are best practices for that? And then they also walk you through, we have a donation platform, which also has been built specifically for schools doing event-based fundraisers. So we'll talk a little bit about that today as well, but very excited to be here. Thank you, Rachel, for having me. I can't wait to talk about Athons, especially with like back to school. Like this is the best time to talk about it.
I know, I'm so excited to sit down with you, Maggie, to chat more about Athon fundraising and how Get Movin can help our awesome Facebook community make their Athons as successful as possible. But before we get started, if anyone is live, is tuning in, or you're live and you have a question for Maggie, make sure to go ahead and drop it in the comments and we'll get to those at the end. And if you have a question today and this is already happened, feel free to still leave a message or a comment below and tag Get Movin, and we'll still get you an answer for that. Okay, and this live will be available to rewatch. So, okay, Maggie, you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so our first question is, can you explain what Athon fundraising events are and why they are so popular among schools?
Yes, I certainly can. So Athon fundraising, as I kind of already said, it's event-based. So you're not selling products, you're not doing something like an auction, you're hosting an event. And it's really centered around getting the kids involved, right? Because if you have products or maybe some other things, the kids aren't, necessarily that involved in the fundraiser. And so that's part of why Athons are so popular in schools now. I mean, they've been growing and trending for, a good handful of years. Obviously, we've been doing this for 17 years, so they're not new, but they are new in that they're growing in popularity, I would say. So how they work is the events that the kids are doing, they're based on a healthy activity, such as running for a fun run, walking for a walkathon, reading for a readathon, dancing for a dance-a-thon. Those are great, by the way, super fun. And they're committing to participating in this activity or this event. And based on that commitment, they're getting donations from neighbors, friends, family to support their participation in the event. And it's either pledge-based or flat donations. We have found that schools are using more flat donations rather than pledges because it's more inclusive. So any student can raise donations for their school, no matter their like ability to actually, run for the fun run. And so, yeah, they're really popular. They're very engaging. They're easier than you think to organize if it's like your first time. And they're proven to raise just significantly more money than any other type of fundraiser. And so that really, if we're getting down to the dollar bills, like that's really the reason to do an Athon.
Hey, if it's an easy way to make money, I can see why they are so popular.
Yes.
So what types of Athon events and themes are kind of trending right now?
Well, like Fun Run is sort of like the OG of Athon fundraisers. So if somebody is like new to it, that's usually what I start with. Like, well, it's a fun run, right? But there's so many different ways to do that. And so what Rachel's showing you, we're going to go through some pictures actually of different event types. And all of these come from schools that have actually worked with Get Movin. There's also, I just included some little tips in there. I won't read them, but they're there if you want to kind of go back if you're running a color run. But yeah, we have, like I said, dance-a-thons, fit-a-thons with like an obstacle course. That's really popular, especially with the Olympics. Color runs is what you just saw. Bubble runs, my personal favorite. I want to go to a bubble run. And then we also have glow runs. So if you need to host a run, you know, in your gym or something, this is a really cool way to do that. So it's a fun run, but it's glow in the dark. You're in the gymnasium. It's something new, very memorable. And so that's kind of what Athons can lead to, is you can really customize them and make them what you want. One type of Athon I want to highlight here is a readathon. So this great picture, you'll probably recognize if anyone knows Magic School Bus. These are staff members from Spout Springs. The PTO hosted a readathon. So readathon's a little different because you're not necessarily, you know, going to have like an event, because the participation is going to happen at home in the classrooms, you know, as the kids are reading. So what Spout Springs did, and what you can do as well, is just host an event at the end of your event, or host an event at the end of your donation period, I should say, to celebrate what you've achieved and maybe do something interactive. They did a science show, which is great. But then, you know, Spout Springs used our services. So they were on FundHub. And because they had that, they were able to use our customizable activity tracker, which is great because parents and teachers can go in and record the reading activity for their students or classes. And then that's automatically recorded in a cute little badge on the student and class web pages to track like how many reading minutes they've gotten. And that's fully customizable. You could do that with any activity, but it works really, really well for a readathon. Yeah, and then the other, so this is my favorite picture of all time. So the other thing I want to talk about is those were kind of the different event types, and then there's themes. So you can do a theme for any event type. We're going into the fall, so seasonal themes are really trending right now. We see a lot of spooky sprints during Halloween, which is really cute. And then the turkey trot, of course. Everyone loves a turkey trot. Do me a personal favor. If you're gonna have a turkey trot, go buy one of these like blow up turkey costumes, get your principal in it and put them out there for like car pickup drop off line and have them spread the word about your event, because what a great opportunity. Like, you have to take advantage of that. But this comes from, that was Desert Vista, and that principal was awesome who put that on. And then the other thing you have are more like kind of local culture, I'll say. So like we had a school that did a Kentucky Derby fun run, which is awesome. This school did a Mardi Gras color run, which was an incredibly amazing event for them. The community was involved. It's like a really inclusive theme. It was very memorable. They tied in all their incentives, all their decoration. And so that's one of the beautiful things about an Athon. Like I said, like you can really adapt it to any theme and to anything that you think would get your school excited. Other things are like Super Mario theme. This one was great. They had the top fundraisers actually get to go to the gymnasium where the PE teachers were dressed as Luigi and Mario and Toad, and they got to play Mario Kart like on the big screen in the gym, which is like, of course, who doesn't want that? You know, that's the great thing with Athon fundraising is you can also tie it to these awesome experience rewards. And so that's how you're, motivating the students to reach their donation goals, as you're incentivizing along the way. And if you have a theme, it's easy to do that, and it's so fun.
Well, I can see why these themes get the kids so excited. There are literally so many ways to customize it.
Yes, exactly.
That is awesome. So what is a good timeline for planning and executing an Athon?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially since we're, about to jump into August. It is back to school season. I have kind of a broad strokes overview I do want to give now, but of course, if you do work with us and your coach would walk you through like step by step exactly what you have to do. But like ideally, you want to start thinking about your event 2 to 3 months out. That doesn't mean now if you're sitting here watching this and you want to host something at the end of August, you can do it within, a month, but I would say definitely get the support to do that. But in the sort of pre-planning phase, you want to select your event type. You want to set your overall fundraising goal, as well as, deciding maybe what that will fund. So parents oftentimes will get behind a fundraiser more for like what you're going to achieve. So like new playground equipment, right? Rather than like a monetary number that might seem kind of overwhelming. So you want to decide that stuff as you're setting your goal. You want to get your team together, of course. And then you also want to reach out to any local businesses that you might want to sponsor your event, whether through that's a monetary donation or items. On FundHub, we have a sponsorship showcase, which is really nice. And you can have like a platinum spot and then also the other spots for your business sponsors right on your school webpage. And then you're in the planning phase about a month out. So this is like planning if you're going to do a kickoff assembly, you'll want to get that nailed down. You'll want to figure out your promotional materials, flyers, emails, social media posts, all of that. If you work with us, we help you we have 100 plus resources in the event toolbox. So you're not starting from scratch. And then you want to set your incentives as well. And then you get into the donation period, and that should be about 3 weeks leading up to your big event. So if you're having a fun run, the 3 weeks leading up to it, that's what your donation period would be. That's kind of the sweet spot. You don't want it longer. People get bored. You don't want it short where it's too pressured to reach your goal. And like I said, if you work with us, we help you get kind of a breakdown of percentage. Like, hey, you want to be at 30%, 1 week before your event. It looks like you're not there. Here's some great ideas like back pocket incentives and, tips for getting parents involved, that kind of a thing. So that's what you can expect if you do have a coach. But that's, like I said, kind of broad strokes, but that's in general kind of the timeline.
Okay, that's awesome. You also mentioned that Get Movin has a donation platform called FundHub. How does this platform work with Athon event?
Yeah. So like I said, at the top, we really built this thinking about what do we wish we had, 10 years ago when we were running fun runs. And if we could have an online portal to collect donations, what are the other tools that we would like to have in there? So that's where it started. And then over time, we've collected feedback from all of the schools we've worked with. So it really is built specifically for school groups. And it's more than just a donation platform, right? Because with Athon fundraising, it's not just the donations, you're also planning a whole event. And so with FundHub, it really brings the two together. You have the donation collecting, reporting, all of the analytics that you need. It's very clear. But then on the other hand, you have all of these amazing tools like volunteer organizer, incentive tracker, a real-time donation map. It's fully translated into Spanish so we can reach more schools that way. So it's really trying to think about, with Athon fundraising, what is everything you need from beginning to end? And that is where we bring in the support specifically with FundHub.
Sounds like you guys have pretty much thought of it all.
Well, we're trying. We do try. It's always improving.
Yeah, it really does sound like a great tool for like PTO parents, especially.
Yes.
Okay, so it does look like we have a question coming in from Emily. She wants to know, is there a recommendation of what type of Athon works for elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools? To clarify, she's specifically looking for a successful Athon for elementary ages.
Yeah, elementary is kind of the sweet spot. I would say any of the ones I just listed will work. I will say what's really trending, especially with elementary schools, is the bubble run. It's very, very exciting. It's fun for kids of all ages, specifically kind of the younger ones for elementary. You still have the same format for a fun run. So in terms of the planning, that much doesn't change, other than obviously getting the bubbles, right? So we actually have a webinar called Shake Up Your Fun Run. I go more into like kind of the nitty gritty of how to schedule a bubble run. But basically you can get a vendor, you get solution, you get the little machines, and then you have the bubbles at like the start and the finish line. But that one I would say is really fun for the little kids. And it's easy to also tie into maybe if you also have a theme with that, your incentives, your rewards, maybe if they register, they get, a bubble wand to have at the event, that type of a thing. But like I said, I think any type of event, but bubble runs. I mean, I already said this is like my favorite right now, so I guess I'm biased, but I have seen really good success with these for elementary schools, also in both seasons. So it's still warm enough in a lot of places where you could have like an outdoor fun, bubble run, even in the fall. And then in the spring, it's also a great idea kind of going into the summer.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, Maggie, I just want to thank you so much for spending time with us today and answering our questions on Get Movin and giving us so many great ideas for A-thon Fundraisers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
And then we also will be putting a link in the comments, so you guys can still ask questions all day. Just tag Get Movin. We'll make sure that they get that. We'll get you an answer. And also we will be adding a link in the comments as well, to learn more about Get Movin and their platform. So.
Yeah, that'll go to our website. And then on there, if you want to actually see FundHub, you can just easily sign up for a tour, and you actually talk with the person who would be your personal coach. So I do encourage schools, if anyone's interested in really seeing how it works, to go check that out.
Great. Well, thank you, Maggie, for joining us. Thank you, everybody online. And we hope you have a wonderful day, and we hope you have a great start to the school year.
Yes. Thanks, guys.